Greetings, human beings around the world. Xyla JacQuel here with everyone once again on Ancient Light Insights. And today we have Stardust with us on episode 3 of Flowering Love on Venus Fridays. Welcome, Stardust, once again, and everyone out there.
Hey, thank you for having me. Happy to be here. Hey, everybody, how are you? How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. So good to have you as always. First announcement I want to say really quickly to everyone. I did do the announcement on our last Jupiter Thursday podcast, Expanding Consciousness. We have mentioned that we will be doing these podcasts weekly, and that is the plan. However, things are a little slow and delayed for me in my moving process. As some of you know, if you don't, I am in the middle of a transition. I'm plugging from the matrix to sustainable life. So I'm plugging off grid. Also, if you want to know all about what I'm doing, I will leave a link below on my GoFundMe for Ancient Light, which is my little healing sanctuary business, my business, into the desert of grid, helping the people from a sustainable community setting versus here in the beautiful, comfortable matrix world.
Yeah,
So check out the links in the bottom below. But the announcement is that because of this transition, it's taking a lot of my time. So for now, we will be doing these podcasts only once a month. Each podcast, one podcast on one Thursday, on the other podcast on some Friday. So just stay tuned to that. Make sure you are subscribed. All the links to our information, our media will be in the description below. With that being said, welcome to Flowering Love. All matters of the heart. This podcast is for the awakening ones, not the zombies, the awakening ones. This podcast is about love. What is truly love? Self love, loving human beings, your neighbors, the animal kingdom, having love and harmony with the earth, with the environment, with the climate. Overall love. Very Jupiterian, very solar energy. Just pure love. Love that is unconditional. So, this is what we're talking about. And on this third episode, we are continuing the topic of self healing. There is 3 steps to having harmonious relationships with yourself and others, successful relationships. And it's first, self-heal. We have to heal the old wounds, the damages that we have inside of our hearts, suppressed wounds, suppressed memories that we've carried along, things we haven't let go of, helping to bring it out so that you are able to reflect your inner self with the people you attract. Because that's how we would know. We attract what we are inside.
exactly.
And so self healing, and first and foremost, because we cannot love anyone or anything if we don't love ourselves. It's just common sense. And as human beings with a consciousness, develop your own consciousness that you are your own guru by doing your work, by walking your walk, by manifesting realities that align with who you are truly, what you're here to do. And then you can get influence and advice and wisdom and inspiration from others around our community, people. But the self comes first and foremost. That's why first step to harmonious relationships is to love yourself truly and fully, not in a narcissistic, egocentric position. We discussed this in episode 2 about the powers that be. For an example, the way they abuse power their own ability to manifest powerful people, also manipulating, teaching that this form of treating human beings is a form of self-empowerment. This is a false self-empowerment, false self-love that is not authentically aligned with what love represents, which is the unity of two hearts. That's why heart shape, the shape of a true heart is like, looks like a half of a heart. The shape of our hearts in
Yeah.
reality looks like one. So the whole concept of this heart, the heart doesn't look like this. This is the unity of two. It's the unity of two. But it's one beating heart that is you. So when you learn to love yourself with humbleness, with authenticity, with vulnerability, loving others comes naturally. And this is the hard part, is accepting this reality when we're not there. But once we get past that step and wanting to, let's fix this. What can we do to improve this? That is the first step. If there's healing to be done, if there's traumas suppressed, if there's resentment in the heart, if there's anger in the heart, jealousy, anything that doesn't serve, that creates conflicts and friction in relationships, then addressing this first and foremost. Close those contracts, finish them up, do the forgiveness, self-forgiveness, like going through shadow work. We will discuss a little bit on that. Doing what people call a shadow work, the inner work. Shadow work is sitting and confronting oneself with all those little dark, we call demons, we can call negativity, we can call whatever you want to label it. The anger, everything that I was saying. It's all suppressed traumas that need to heal. We need to purge them out, get rid of them, clear the cup, empty it so that we can receive clean love. Clean.
Yes, so beautifully said. So beautifully said. I love that. With leading into that, when it comes to self-healing and initiating that, I just want everybody here to know it comes with a lot of owning up to your own shit. Pardon my French here, but you got to own up to it. And you can't be too hard on yourself. Like I said in the last episode, don't be too hard on yourself when you own up to these things and you realize these harsh truths about yourself that you're finally coming to terms with. Allow them to be, allow them to show you where you have been so that you can know where you're going to go and just flow with it. Allow it to just flow through your body, feel each emotion behind each trauma, each trigger, each wound that has been left behind by your past self. And remember that it's all in the past. It does not exist in your here and now, because in your here and now, you're trying to do better than that past version. And that's what matters. So just stay in your present moment and stop dwelling on the past hurt.
So beautifully said as well. Living in the moment, now that you mention it, it's such a big key factor. It's so hard for us human beings to live in the moment, to actually enjoy every second without thinking of the past or the future. Thinking in the past, it resonates with depression because it's just pulling us back. We're so concerned and dwelling on something that already passed. So it's by holding on to it, it's just dragging us down from when we need to go. And it's just that action of letting go of that part. Like that becoming, it seems like so easy, but why is it that we make it so difficult for ourselves, right?
Right.
So just like letting go of that so that you can be in the moment. Because if not, we're just thinking in the future, like, oh my God, all the things that I need to achieve and, my dreams and my goals, sometimes overbearing with it. Like it comes across even arrogant most of the time when we're like, oh, I have all these goals and all these structures. I understand that there's aspects like certain zodiac signs are, very structured. I mean, I'm a Virgo. We Virgo
Me
people
too.
can be, with the and some Capricorns. But what I mean is sometimes just being a little more loose and being present, because thinking of things that haven't happened and being so caught up in the goals and projects you can build, and you miss out what it is to be in your own body and enjoy the moment that is happening, and can manifest a different type of more stressful future for you, because your present moment is just thinking about that only. So your present moment is what manifests. That energy you have is what manifests. So what are you doing in that moment? So trying to come back to the body, right? So like, I'm here right now. Honestly, I just put that attitude, like I'm just careless and free. I don't care. I try not to care, because when I care and I start worrying about it, it's just so easy to be caught up in that, right? Be caught up in it overall. And next thing you know, you are not in the present moment. The present moment helps us heal, because now we know what's happening here inside of us, and how we can, oh, this is not feeling good. Why? Talking to yourself. We'll go deeper into shadow work. We will go deeper. We just want to address these key factors before we get into shadow work. Very important. So thank you, Stardust. I wanted to mention that examining your relationships is a great way to start. Sitting down, and you can have a little notebook. I've done this work. I get very ritualistic with it, because we're magical beings. And that is something that this expanding consciousness is about, what awakening is about. This is the elementals. The word magical beings, very esoteric. And occultism, they keep it occult and they make it seem like it's something so negative and bad, and the witch and the wizards, and it's all twisted. And it's up to you whether you're ready to receive this information or not. If you're in judgment of it, then you're not ready for this. So stay at the level that you are. Now, if you're here and you're still listening to this and this resonates for you, then you're ready for this type of information, because this is part of the awakening. This is part of the New Aquarian age, is that we're stepping into a life of new truths that used to be lies. So we have to recondition ourselves, like our parents were supposed to raise us, whatever that means. We are raising our own selves as human beings. We are trusting our own intuition. We are trusting our own selves and our heart, rather than doubting it. There's no reason to doubt yourself if you're aligned with truth. And it requires vulnerability, accepting it. It's okay. Yes, I'm wrong here. It's so hard for people, and this was me in the past, to accept when we were wrong. I understand that. But this is part of the healing process, and it will make you feel very strong and powerful after the math. Like, oh, that felt good. And people either will gravitate or run away from it. Because if they run away from that kind of boldness, it's because they themselves have been triggered and they can't accept that truth. But some other people actually appreciate it. I remember when I got triggered. At first I would just be upset, but there was times where I'm like, you called me out of something. And I was like, there was a new desire for growth within me, expanding consciousness, very much like expanding consciousness. This happens to us where you question things and you're more curious. You want to know now. So you're open-minded, you are receptive to new information, to accepting, thank you for that. I learned something with that, rather than getting mad because someone triggered us. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of growth and maturity from us to get to that point and speak that truth like that, boldly, whether others like it or not, without disrespecting anyone, but without needing to suppress that either. I don't believe that we should stay quiet in what we feel because we feel we're going to offend others, without offending them, though. Without offending them. But not to be confused on speaking some truth and someone got offended because of that. Because if they got offended and it wasn't an insult, it was just a raw truth, then that was the message there for that person at that moment. And it was the release for the other person to be able to speak that truth in that moment, letting it out. It's a reciprocal thing. And so examining our relationships, it's a good way to start. Sitting down with yourself with your notebook, and let's ask ourselves, let's examine our relationships, all of them. How is the relationship with my family? The people in your family, whether your siblings, your parents, your grandparents, aunties, uncles, just first family. How's the relationship with your family? How's the relationship at work, in your work environment, with your boss, with your coworkers? Write that down. How's your relationship with your siblings? How's your relationship with your neighbors? Some people have a war with your neighbor across the street. It happens a lot. It's like this war between neighbors. How is your relationship with the animal kingdom? Do you hate animals and you see a bug and you want to squeeze it and kill it? Do how's your relationship with the animal kingdom? How is your relationship with the environment? Do you trash the environment? Do you trash the streets in the tree or something, which you show that you have no care for Mother Nature and the environment, and that you're causing negativity happening? Trash is just bad for the environment. So how is that relationship with Mother Nature? Is she happy with you? It's very broad. And this is why we're doing a podcast about this, because there's so much involved and we want to touch base on the most that we can. Because people don't touch base on these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk about the very raw part of it. So how's that? How's the relationship? Do you have a romantic relationship with someone? How is that relationship? How is that going? And then last but not least, how's the relationship with yourself? How do you treat yourself? Do you sit there in the mirror and just hate how you look and call yourself stupid, or why did you do that? I'm so fucking stupid. We talk sometimes to ourselves this way. An idiot. I can't believe I did that. I fucking don't deserve this person. All this negative talk. I would never be able to do that. I'm not as talented. I'm a piece of shit. This is the relationship that we have with our own selves when we talk to ourselves with the things that no one else hears but our subconscious mind, and affects, and we suppress. But others can see it. You think not, but it comes out in the way we express ourselves. And then other people reflect it too. We start attracting. If we need healing to do, we reflect, we attract others that also have healing to do. Or others that can help heal you. That can be conduit to that. You will attract that. It's up to you to utilize that for the good. Obviously, if two people are needing healing, it's not very smart to get into a relationship. You're not ready for a relationship if we're still in healing processes. Again, I mentioned this. It's like being in the hospital with a cast. You broke a leg. You're not supposed to use your leg for anything. It's like going running, like not caring. Like, I'm just going to run anyways. Let it heal. It's not ready for running. The body's not ready for sex and getting into intertwining souls and fluids and liquids with another human being. If it's still the body and healing and detoxing bullshit from other sexual relationships, for example. And these are topics we're going to be touching. But examining our relationships, and then from that list, are they unhealthy or healthy? You can put details on each one of them. Classify it. The relationship with the parents overall, is that healthy or is that unhealthy? Is the one with yourself healthy or unhealthy? And then do notes. And starting from there, sit there with all that. Sitting with that truth and reading that for yourself, it's one step to shadow work. Very much.
It's a beautiful step. That's a great exercise for us to practice. It really gets us into our awareness of ourselves and how our dynamics are with others. Because if we don't have a healthy dynamic and we're conditioned from these patterns of doing it over and over again, we think it's normal, but we don't know what's true and what's normal, what's real love, unconditional love for ourselves and for others. We put so many conditions, because if we don't put conditions on this love with others or ourselves, we're going to lose that. And so that's why we do condition to control that love. And that's not what we're supposed to do.
Oh, yeah, the control. It's such a big part of this. We want to control love. This is where unconditional love comes into play. A lot of people don't even understand what conditional love means. And most of the time we don't want to accept it, but we grew up, or we were raised in families with conditional love, and they didn't mean it with bad intentions. They were raised the same way, our grandparents, with this expectation, very Saturn energy. You have to bring A's to the school, no questions asked. These expectations that if you do good, you were going to get rewarded, and if you did something bad, you were punish and rewards. And we're like, oh my God, I have to be good in the world, please people so they can love me. This is a very detrimental way of growing up as a child. And this era, if we're an adult in this time, we went through these things. So we were conditioned in the school system. You don't see that they respect children like individual human beings that are growing up and that need to be respected equally. Parents are here to make sure that they're surviving because they depend on the parent for changing the diaper, giving it milk and cleaning it up, making sure it doesn't cross the street when it's 3 years old, and holding and being safe while it becomes adult. But we have the mistake, and in school systems, the old-fashioned indoctrinating school system that we were in, that just want to push the agenda on human beings to what do you want to be when you're 1 and 3, like 3 years old, 5 years old in kindergarten. When you're a child, you don't even know what you are yet, let alone you know what you want to be. A child has so much to discover itself. The ideal school will be a school that we teach children the love for animals, what the animal species are and what they're here for, the native plants of where they live, what they do, the edible ones, and to learn how to meditate at that age, be centered and give to the earth, share with others, and learn about the chakra system, learn about foods and vegetables, what vitamins they have. They have a brain to absorb that kind of thing, to discover art for themselves. Once they become bigger, they want to play different kind of instruments. Let them try different things, not enforcing one thing just because that's what we failed in as parents. Just letting them discover themselves. I think that part of what do you want to be is like a human being does not know that until we're like 20. That's when you're like, okay, what do I want to be? Now that I discovered my talents and what I love, all of these things, right? Does not make sense. That
Yeah.
you would know at that point, well, now I want to explore in that. But we make this mistake, they trap us into that so that they can get us in school loans. You have this debt, you're already stuck in this job you hate. They just put that on us precisely to keep us in the matrix, new world order that we were discussing in yesterday's podcast, Expanding Consciousness. You need to watch that because Expanding Consciousness podcast relates completely with this podcast, Flowering Love. The idea of expanding consciousness has everything to do with love and loving yourself, all of it. So if you haven't watched that, please watch it. We will leave the link there in the description. So examining the relationships. When someone tells you you have to do good or you will be punished, corporations, anything, and you're expected to do this, I'm not going to help you unless you do this and that. It's conditions, right? So it's a conditional love. We don't see it that way, of course, because that's how we are. Human beings just deny it at first. We're going to be like, oh, that's not how I love. But, I loved conditionally before in the past. And now that I woke up, I learned all the mistakes I made and I let go of it. I released it out of me. And now I'm reconditioning myself to love unconditionally. Love unconditionally. When we love human beings, we don't try to control them. I know we want to. I was one, very controlling. But that's not love because everyone has a different journey. Everyone has a different specimen component that we're created on. You can see it in the birth chart. those beautiful shapes that your own birth chart creates. It's unique. It's a unique blueprint. And it's beautiful to see those things. And sometimes people's flaws are just beautiful components that make that person unique, and to accept the way they are like that, not to be confused with negative traits. I'm just saying maybe a character of somebody that you might not like, or a character that might seem out there, a little bit. It's just part of their personality, and controlling people is also like a lot of friends tend to not get, like if you're always together with your friend and you have an invitation to success, to fulfill a dream, and that requires hopping on a plane and moving across the world, some friends give guilt trips, like, oh, you're leaving, and they're like, now people are holding themselves back because the friends are sad that they're moving instead of being happy for them. That's conditional love. Unconditional love is that I would have tears in my eyes. I remember when a Stardust left. I know I'll see him again, but when he left, we looked at each other, and then I had like tears in my eyes, but I was so happy for him. I was like, I hope that this trip goes incredible, and then, you manifest all your dreams. And I was happy for him because this is meant for him. This is unconditional love. As parents, if our kid comes with a big F and they call you because he skipped class and did something crazy, we grew up sometimes like we go home, we get a spanking and get punished. There was no talking about it. This is very traumatic for a child. That's conditional. We grow up with this conditional love.
It's sort of like
So
manipulation, right?
it is manipulation, and it's true. And it's okay as parents, if you're watching this and you're a parent that you did this, it's just hitting you a little bit now, or you're doing this. It's okay. Like I did it. We've been there all. It's accepting it and being okay. I'm not moving forward with this anymore. You have an opportunity to change this around for you. And if your kids are already grown, let's say, and the mistake is done, forgive yourself. You didn't know any better. This is what we're doing here. This is about the awakening. If this is a new information, it's okay. We've all made mistakes. Just forgive yourself for doing it. Let go of it. And you will be forgiven from Father, Mother, God, the universe, your past ancestors. Cut the ties with the ancestry line of suffering. It's a ritual for that I can share at some point. It's all these things that we have to do. Unconditional love, loving your child unconditional, that they call your teenager did that, instead of like wanting to blow up and want to punish him and yell at him. Conditional love, you would want to know what's in their mind. I would think, like, hey, you would want to tell them, I just want to let you know I'm here. Whatever you're going through, that you make you like break the rules and do something of this nature, I'm here to listen to you. And that vulnerability, that kindness, and letting them know I love you either way. But what you're doing is causing an effect that is negative, whether in the child's life and others, but letting them know that they're accepted and loved as they are, that they're not going to be punished for it. Yes, there's going to be consequences. There's consequences. I do believe in sometimes cutting down on the TV, or especially the TV or games, is necessary. But the abuse and the manipulation, like Stardust was saying, that part, unconditional love. So starting with knowing the difference with unconditional and conditional love, in order to do this examination for on relationships, then we can see which each one of them, where is there conditional love or unconditional love among everyone involved in each different relationship dynamic. And then starting from there and take it one at a time, one relationship at a time. Which is the relationship where you're more together? Is it you're romantic? Maybe you live with a boyfriend and you're having this dynamic with this person more often. So start with that relationship. But of course, start with yourself, but work on that one as well. Or if you're living with your parents, that family, because it's the ones you're just closest to.
Yes, yes, that's beautiful. I love the way you put that. I think for people on this path, it's very tough for them to go through this and to be willing to accept that there's relationships in their lives that aren't going to be good for them, and they're going to have to let those people either go, or if they, well, I wouldn't say let them go right away. I would say first try to make sure to see if you can get them on the same level of consciousness that you're opening yourself up to, with the self-healing and the self-love, and with the loving in the relationship unconditionally. You know, if it's a relationship that you wrote down in that exercise, and you know it's one of those you got to work on it. If they're not willing to give you the same energy back, though, that's how you know it's time to let go and move on without them.
Absolutely, Stardust. Of course, everyone has to work on themselves on their own. So maybe you can share this video and this information to a partner of anyone that you would want to share it with, of course. But it's up to them. Like Stardust said, it's up to them wanting to do the healing. But if you get a negative feedback, this is not going to help your self-healing. Stardust is right. It won't. They have to want to. And if that doesn't happen, you have to cut ties. Unfortunately, part of self-healing and self-love and self-empowerment requires cutting off ties, cutting relationships and cutting people off is part of it.
I know that firsthand.
We know that firsthand. Yes, same here. Wow, how many people I've had. I've recently cut off people.
Yes,
Like
yes.
it continues to happen when you have strong boundaries and you've reached self-empowerment, which we're always working on it, but I feel like I've reached self-empowerment in my life enough to discern and to not let anyone manipulate me, control me, or any of that. So it's better for me to make those choices and those decisions.
Very true. Very true. Do you want to jump into the shadow work?
Yes. So on the shadow work, yeah, we're gonna end it here and do a little meditation. So basically, shadow work is a form of self-healing. Face these negative traits, these suppressed memories, this sorrow, the anger, the grudge, resentment, all these negative things that we've suppressed. That's why it's called shadow work, because we're just working with dark energy, negativity, things we don't want to face. That is what it is. And we will be discussing more on shadow work or inner work, self healing on the next episode here, Flowering Love, once a month on Venus Friday Love Day. Today, we're going to leave it at this, and we will be ending with a brief meditation for self-love, for self-healing. Let Stardust close it with one more insight for all of you.
Thank you, JacQuel. Always a pleasure and an honor. Here's a little insight that is more on the physical material side, but this has energy entangled with it. So, if you guys are familiar with crystals, okay, these two crystals that I have right here are the crystals of love. I have a little bit of rose quartz, okay, and this is to help you with your self-love journey, your self-healing, universal love, and unconditional love for all beings. And then I have your malachite right here that attaches to your heart chakra, and it's the green energy. If you can see the green in there, and it's attracted to transformative love, transforming your love into a higher consciousness, into a higher being within yourself and for others. So get yourself some of these and practice meditating with these, and focus on love for yourself and others when you have these with you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stardust, for bringing crystals into the equation. Crystals and gemstones are powerful allies. These objects have consciousness, and I'm so glad that you brought up that beautiful malachite and rose quartz. You make me want to create some necklace, some amulets with exactly that combination for maybe the people who want to get it. In case you guys didn't know, I do make amulets and talismans with crystals and gemstones and copper wire for protection, abundance, love, and things like that, that is a great one. Thank you so much for sharing. One more crystal that I can add for the list, and we can bring more crystals here. I like this whole crystal stuff. For the next episode, we can show you some of the crystals that you guys can work with. Also, emerald. I do have a beautiful raw piece of emerald that does not look like an emerald that you see in a jewelry store shining all bright. It's raw, it's intense and beautiful. And
Nice.
it's very powerful for self-healing. Like, if you're not ready to experience shadow work and just all this purge coming out, do not even work with emerald. It's that powerful. The emerald is known to turn black when you work with it with someone needs a lot of, yeah, it turns dark from this
I
dark.
never knew.
Yes, I will bring it in the next one and you guys will see what I'm saying and I will show it. But very powerful emerald if you have a raw one, or even if you have a polished, but the raw ones are better. Very powerful. And that malachite and rose as well. So thank you so much one more time, Stardust, for being here with us, sharing your incredible wisdom and bringing your beautiful gemstones. And if you have a question on this topic or an idea based on this topic that you would like for us to talk about on the next episode, leave it in the comments and we will see you all on the next one. With that being said, I'm going to do this brief meditation now. So, as always, and by the way, you will all see Stardust doing hand movements. We decided that from now on, I will be doing a guided meditation. He will be sending some Reiki. He will be doing a guided meditation on other videos, and I will be sending some Reiki. So when you see us doing hand gestures while going through the guided meditation, it means he is sending Reiki energy healing for that love so that you open up your heart and receive the beautiful intention.
Only if you guys are open and receiving to Reiki, though.
Only
Wanna...
if you're correct. Correct. Only if you're open to receive. So when he does it, just make sure you say, I am open to receive this Reiki. Otherwise, if you're not, you don't need to receive it. This is completely something we have to ask permission. First, clearing the space. Feel I'm sending this Palo Santo energy into your space to clear the energy, any lingering thought that doesn't serve. And slowly just get comfortable in your own space. Sit with a straight spine and take a deep breath in. Gently hold for one and exhale very gently out. Once again, breathing in gently and deep. Inhale, hold for one, and exhale out. One more time. Inhaling deep in. Hold for one, and exhale out. And now that you are with your physical eyes closed and your body breathing in and out, maintain the pace of this breath. In, hold, and exhale. Begin to see this beautiful aura around your silhouette. This beautiful light green silhouette light as you continue to breathe in and out and compensating your entire figure, your form. And as you continue to breathe, hold your heart this love for your own beating heart. And now that you've gotten gratitude to your heart, know that you can always come here in this space in your heart as your home, your true home. Take one deep breath in and exhale out, letting all that out, and gently tap your heart. Gently tap your first eye, top of your head, the sides, shoulders, and gently open your eyes in a soft gaze. And as always, recognize the beauty that surrounds you, all around you. Whatever is the first thing that is there, and be grateful for that. And if there's a person in front of you, tell them how grateful you are for them to be in your life. Stardust, I am very grateful to you in my life.
I am so grateful for you, JacQuel. Thank you so much.
I hope that you all enjoyed that and that that was helpful to open your heart. And we will see you on the next one here in Ancient Light Insights with Xyla, JacQuel, and Stardust. Remember to love thyself before anyone else. Love and light. Shh.